Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time with us, my name's Elena and today we are making the cast of H2O Just Add Water in The Sims 4 because literally as soon as I saw that Island Living had mermaids, this was all I could think about. The only thing that I cared about from the ages of like 0 to 7, I would say, maybe 0 to 9, were mermaids. Like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz also held my attention and it still holds my heart deeply, but the Little Mermaid was like, she was the reason my favorite color was lavender. She was the poster I had on my wall. I had a swimsuit of Little Mermaid. And then in middle school, I found this delightful show on Netflix.com that was called H2O Just Add Water. It is an Australian show about teenage mermaids. And yes, it is exactly the way that you think it would be. Basically, every time they get like turned by accident, it's this whole dramatic, like mystical storyline. And every time they get water on them, they turn into a mermaid no matter what they're doing. And so it's like a lot of like trying to hide that from people, but also trying to like be mermaidy and like save turtles and stuff like that. Like it is. And then of course 90% of the plot lines are like, but this boy, it was the 2000s. We can't all have good role models in childhood, but I was obsessed with the show. The first time I remember staying up till 4 a.m. on purpose was watching H2O Just Add Water on my little iPod touchscreen, like giving myself a headache. The nostalgia, just overwhelming. I went back and watched a lot of it when I was making these because, like, what else are you going to do while you're making a cast in The Sims besides watch the TV show that they come from? But I just... one of the storylines, this is related to The Sim that I'm making, so it's fine. But for all of their party outfits or formal outfits, for their formal outfits, I had them dress the way that they did at a school dance, which happens like at the tail end of season 1, and one of the whole storylines is that Cleo, who I'm making right now, didn't get asked to the dance by the boy that she liked, and that was her entire plot line for the whole thing, was like she didn't get asked by the boy she liked, but then a boy who's a douchebag asked her, so she went with him because what is she going to do, go by herself? No, that's embarrassing. And it's just so like, and then the whole time they're at the dance, they're just sitting there like, when's he going to ask me to, because you can't walk up to people in the 2000s. You're a girl. What are you going to do? Like, take charge of your life? No, absolutely not. Anyway, so it's very 2000s, but it holds a warm place in my heart, and I still enjoy watching it. It's like how you imprint. I have this theory that if you get kind of like educated on gender topics as you grow older and maybe more educated on like films and film theory and whatever, you realize that there's a lot of romantic comedies that are like terrible and manipulative. But if you watch some of them in childhood, you imprint on those specific movies. And so those ones, despite the fact that they're sexist and terrible, don't bother you at all. So I have that with 27 Dresses, starring Katherine Heigl and James Marsden, which is truly heinous as far as like gender stereotyping and all those different things go. But I watched it when I was 10, and now I will never hate it. So that's how I feel about H2O. It's really, I think it's fun and good, and they do a lot of environmental messages, so there's that. Anyway, Cleo is the first one I'm making. I made Cleo, Emma, and Rikki because I do not care about Bella. I just do not. Every time I get to the season where Bella shows up, she's like this random, because Emma got written off because her actress got a different job, I think. Every time I get to the season where Bella shows up, I just like check right out. I don't know. Makes it sound like I watch this show like every year, which I kind of do, but it's fine. So we have Cleo, Emma, and Rikki. Cleo, I gave her the friend of the animals trait because part of her storyline is that she works at the marine park and she really loves the dolphins, which is perfect because the dolphins come in this pack too. I'm enthusiastic about it. So she's a friend of the animals. I know that only really applies to like cats and dogs. I don't know if it would count if you got a relationship with a dolphin. I hope that it would. Whatever. It's accurate to her character, and so maybe just make friends with the dogs around the island or change it. I don't care. I also gave her cheerful, good, and child of the ocean, I think, is the trait. Child of the ocean because, like, mermaids, so she's gonna want to be swimming a lot and stuff. And I also think, like, in the show, they're not just like, they don't just happen to be mermaids, they also have this like deep tie to the water and they're fascinated by it, and like it can sort of hypnotize them at times. And so I think it works to give them all the child of the ocean trait, so I did. And then Cleo's other traits are basically just that she's like the nice one, Emma's very uptight and controlling, and Rikki can be like mean and defensive, and Cleo's just sweet. You know, that's her whole... She was my favorite one. Like, I think I'm just gay because the actress is just beautiful. I don't remember her name. She was on, like, one of those vampire shows. And Phoebe Tonkin, I think? Tonkin or Tonklin, I don't remember. But she's just absolutely stunning, and so I was obsessed with Cleo. Yeah, I don't know. I was figuring my shit out in middle school. It's fine. So Cleo, I gave for the mermaid tails and tops and stuff. In the show, they have these like burnt orange mermaid tails, and they have like kind of halter tops that look identical to the fish scales. So I gave them like the fish scale tops, even though it doesn't look like a bikini top like the one in the show does, because it's more accurate to like the way the mermaids kind of look like they're formed. Like it almost looks like the bikini top is just supposed to be part of their mermaid skin. If that makes sense. So yeah, I think for all of them, I did go back through and get custom content hairstyles, because in some ways, like, there just weren't the right hairstyles in a way that bothered me. But I really didn't use very much custom content on this at all when I went back and just added some in. I think I only added hairstyles, and I gave... they have these lockets that they find. One of them they find on the bottom of the ocean, and one of them they find in a thrift store, and one of them they find, like... with this old lady. They have this old lady mentor who like used to be a mermaid, and so now she gives them she gives them advice, but it's always like very cryptic and unhelpful, you know, like Dr. Deaton from Teen Wolf. I should make Teen Wolf. Anyway, so she always gives them this vague, unhelpful advice, and she's great and spectacular, and she wears these like victory curls, which is hilarious because she's supposed to be like 60. So I don't know why they gave her a hairstyle from the 1940s, but I love her anyway. Yeah, so they have these lockets that are very important to the story. And so I went and got them custom content lockets. But honestly, I think that the lockets or the necklace that I gave them from I think it's just a base game necklace. I think that looks more accurate, to be honest. Like, I felt like I had to go out and get a specific locket, but I think the one that isn't custom content actually works better. And then I think I gave Emma a custom content skirt or something like that. And they all have CC makeup because I'm not a heathen. But yeah, so this is me choosing her dress from the school dance episode where she spends the entire time waiting for a boy to ask her, which, I mean, I don't know how much things have changed. I hope that they've changed, but I definitely related to that, like, well, you can't actually like a boy first. He has to say that he likes you. Otherwise, it's embarrassing and you're, like, kind of slutty. I was really learning. I got weird messaging as a youth because I went to a very, very uptight religious school. But I was also 12 years old and, like, Googled dirty things. You know what I mean? That I'm really reliving middle school as I watch myself do this. Yeah, so Cleo has this gorgeous curly hair. I think they make it like straighter in the later seasons, but I don't care about that. I wanted her to have the hair that's my favorite. She wears a lot of they did a good job, I think, of dressing them like they're teenagers. I don't know how Australia works. I've never been there. I'm confused by people who are tan. However, they do have like a good blend of like cute beach looks, but then they look like they're teens. I assume that's kind of how teenagers dress in Australia. They're just wearing shorts and tank tops like pretty much all the time. So yeah, and they're very light on the makeup, so I really didn't give any of them very much makeup. I was looking at the promotional photos, like obviously they're wearing makeup because they're doing a photo shoot, but they really didn't do much of the heavy contour to make them look like they're like seductive or whatever. Like they just it's a lot of bronzer and lip gloss because it's the 2000s, but I think that it was a good show in terms of not having them grow up super fast, if that makes sense. Like, it was a show about 16, 17-year-olds or 15, 16-year-olds, but it was, like, for middle schoolers more, I think. Or for 23-year-olds. I'm 22. I forget how old I am. Or for 22-year-olds who are just nostalgia watching it in the summer. So, yeah, they have like a sleepover party episode, but I was too lazy to go back and look at what they actually wore during that. And I care more about having them have like a cohesive palette. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love I love picking like 2 or 3 colors for my Sims to wear and then having all of their outfits be like along those lines so that they're like easily findable in a crowd. And Cleo wears a lot of like pink and purple on the show, so I just kind of went with that. Yeah. I did have some trouble finding stuff that was like 2000s-y enough. I used a lot of Island Living clothing, I think, which doesn't look super vintage. You know, it doesn't look super like I'm wearing this to a school dance in 2008, but, you know, we do what we gotta do. So they're kind of a blend of like cringy old fashion and cute stuff. They're a little bit of a mess, but it's fine. I also am enjoying the randomized traits thing that came with the newest update. I think that was long overdue, and you know, it's not relevant to the video, but I am playing with it, and I think I might try and do a randomized trait sim with like shuffled. I have the sim for like the sim generator that tells you like what hair color, eye color, and like distinctive feature they should have, and then what colors they like to wear and like their initials, and then I can combine that with the randomized trait button, and now just do random sims. That's very off topic. Yeah, these swimsuits were based off of a different promotional photo shoot that I found. I have a lot of, this is my new strategy for approaching like making real people in The Sims, is I go and find a lot of pictures from the show and I make a Google Drive folder of it. And then I look at those on my phone while I'm making the sim on my laptop. It's a great strategy. It's very thorough. I have too much time on my hands right now. But I had a couple different promotional photo shoots from the show that I was kind of going off of. So that's where all of the outfits came from pretty much, except for like I said, like the pajama outfit and the party outfit. I kind of was just like, what would they want to wear? What do I think Cleo would wear? And what looks cute? Yeah, this is honestly the mermaid update is maybe the most excited I've ever been about an update. Like, I only started playing The Sims regularly a couple years ago, but I've never been so thrilled about an update as I was about the mermaid thing. I'm a big nerd, and I'm a big nerd in like a fantasy way where I can get very invested in fairy tales and Disney princesses and TV shows about mermaids. And so this really will enable me. I also, for their cold weather outfits, like I put them in a household on Sulani. Is that what that's called? Yeah. I put them in a household on the Island Living world. So and also like Australia, I don't think it gets cold there. I think you wear like a jacket sometimes and that's it. So for their cold weather outfits, they're pretty like understated. Okay. Emma also Cleo was the subject of one of the romances that I think really defined me as a 12-year-old. Her and Lewis, who is her best friend from the show, like they're best friends from childhood, and he's a boy, and you know shit's gonna go down when they introduce a best friend from childhood who's a boy. Like, that's serious business. And I still kind of am, like, very weak for that, like, you like knew each other as kids, and now, like, all of a sudden it's different, and, but, because I think I was secretly hoping that would happen to me as a kid. It did not. My closest friend from childhood, who is a boy, is not interested in women, and also undateable for other reasons, so we can't all win it. We can't win the, like, best friend from childhood falling in love thing, but Cleo did, and it was just super cute, and I loved it, and he was obsessed with her, and it was just so sweet. One of my favorite parts of the show, honestly. So Emma's my least favorite of the original 3. I still love them all, don't get me wrong. And I still think that she's gorgeous and a good part of the cast. But this was the character that, as I was growing up, as this little girl that was like, I don't want to see people follow the rules. I want to see people do dramatic things. She was always the one who pumped the brakes on their, like, wacky plans. And I was like, fuck you, Emma. I want to see them, like, try and rob the store or whatever, like, their idea was. Because they have to do the wacky plan eventually because they're teenage mermaids. I thought I was getting better at editing out those little blips where I'm, like, going out to check that I'm still recording and coming back in. I'll work on that. Sorry. Anyway, so eventually they have to do the wacky plan because they're teenage mermaids, and they'll have to, but Emma's just sitting there, like, dragging her feet the whole time, and you're just like, fuck off. She also had the most fried blonde 2000s hair in the entire world. I felt so bad as I was like watching it, because she, they have her have long hair, and it's always straightened, and it just looks so like damaged. Poor girl. Anyway, so I gave her the athletic trait because she's a swimmer. That's part of her like character arc, is that she has to give up swimming when she becomes a mermaid because she can't have people see her with a tail, obviously. So she's like, she's your classic. Her whole face is your absolute classic, like front page of the gallery sim. She's beautiful. I don't remember the actress's name at all. She's not been in as many things, I don't think, as the actress for Rikki or Cleo that I have seen, but I think she's still working. So, so athletic, the bodybuilder aspiration or whatever. She has the neat, perfectionist, and child of the ocean traits, because those are like her main things, is that she's very type A. Like everything has to get done, and it has to get done right, and probably she has to be the one to do it. She has this like kind of horrible, this is a hairstyle that I sometimes love but usually don't, because who actually has their hair like that with just the one single braid like over the top? But she has bangs and long straight blonde hair, and so I did what I had to do. But her custom content hairstyle is a lot cuter. I do feel bad about her outfit because I was basing it off of a photo shoot again, and I wanted it to be accurate to that so I could get good screenshots, but it ends up being just, like, not that cute. But also, it was the 2000s, so just nothing was actually cute. Like, it's all kind of heinous. They're all wearing, like, those long t-shirts that really made you insecure about any belly fat that you might have. And the low-rise skirts, which is just a funny concept to me, where it's like you have a skirt and it's like a mini skirt, but then it's also low rise, so it's about 6 inches of fabric, and then you have this long ass t-shirt that makes your torso look like it goes on for days. Very sexy. I had fun dressing her, but not this first outfit. Sorry, Emma. I think when me and my two friends, because I had two best friends in middle school, as one does, there was always like a fourth person in the group, but they were the Bella, they came in and out. They didn't get there till later. I was also the Bella of the friend group because my two best friends had known each other since kindergarten and had been best friends since kindergarten. And so I was the new enterer. But in middle school, we would always have like the sleepovers with the three of us, and we'd all like pack into like a queen size bed because you're like 12 and you can do that. And we'd be watching H2O, and we'd like pick who was who, and nobody wanted to be Emma. Every friend group has an Emma where they're necessary and you appreciate their, like, commitment to a set of values, but sometimes they're just kind of a stick in the mud. Anyway, Emma also has, I think she actually has the smallest number of annoying boy storylines, partially because she's not there for the entire thing. But she has, there's, a surfer boy first season. Of course he's a surfer boy because it's Australian. He's, curly blonde hair, and his name is Byron. And we used to say Byron like they did on the show with the Australian accent. It was great. And he was just boring as all hell. You know how, if you watched television made for middle schoolers in the, pre-2010, just no male character was ever interesting, which honestly, props to the H2O people for being our female characters are going to be fun and dynamic and they're going to do stuff, and then our male characters are just going to be bummers across the board, except for Lewis. If you watch the show, you remember Byron. What did he have? His personality was that he surfed. Boring. I'm bored. Yeah. And Emma was, I don't know, she kind of, Cleo was sweet and sincere and tried to do everything right, and Emma was I'm going to try and do everything right, but in a way that's kind of, jarring and annoying. Yeah. She's a leader, and I admire that about her, but I also don't really care about her. She does have the Sims front page face. One of the things that is kind of funny looking back is they make a big point of saying that Emma's a really healthy eater, and she does, her family's very sporty and weird about food, and they always have super healthy drinks and snacks and everything all the time. And it's to the point where like her eating gluten-free was kind of hilarious. Like their family purposely never ate gluten, and it was like regarded as this kind of like, oh, look at these weird health people. And now like nobody eats gluten. I mean, I still do because I'm weak and I could never have any dietary restrictions. But yeah, that was just one of those things that like aged kind of funny. At one point, they have her drinking like prune and spinach juice or something like that. They're like the family that ate kale before kale was a thing that people actually liked. I think everybody knew a family like that, like the health food family. And she seems like the kind of girl who would tell her mom who you had a crush on, you know what I'm saying? Like every friend group had that girl who was just very, like way too honest with her mom. And not because the mom was like a cool mom or whatever, like maybe she was a little bit of a cool mom, but just the friend like didn't have, everybody had that, like the set of rules that their parents say you have to follow, and then the set of rules that you actually follow, like your own boundaries, and you just lie to your parents about everything that happens in between there. So yeah, everybody had the friend who told their mom everything, including your business, and everybody had a little bit of a grudge against that friend. I do remember coming over to my friend's house in like 8th grade or something, and her mom going, so I hear you like so-and-so, and I like about turned around and slapped her upside the head. This really just brings me back into my childhood setting of wanting to slap everybody upside the head. I don't know why I spent so long on Emma. She's like not even that interesting. These flower pants are iconic. Wow. Yeah, I couldn't relate to how she got along with everybody and did everything right all the time. Rikki, on the other hand, Rikki is one of those characters that you don't really like that much as a kid because she causes problems and like isn't always nice, or at least that was how I'm very afraid of conflict. So even like a TV show character being kind of a problematic element in social situations made me very like anxious. But now I appreciate her. Like this actress has serious chops. Like she's been on other things since. I forget what her name is, but she's been on Lost. She's the pregnant girl on Lost. She's been like, I don't know. She's been in a bunch of things, and she's always just this beautiful, like ethereal looking lady. And in the show, her role is kind of to be like the shit starter. Like she has fire powers. That's another fun aspect of Mermaids on the show, is that they each have like a power. So Cleo can move water, and Emma can freeze water, and Rikki can like boil water, and like just by like dramatically clenching their hands or whatever. And then they bring the 4th girl in like season 3, and her power is turning water into gel. Like the fuck? That's just Emma's power but worse. I don't like it. I don't get it. Anyway, so Rikki was a fire, like she had the fire power, and it kind of mirrored the fact that she had like an angry personality. So she has the hot-headed trait, child of the ocean because, you know, mermaid, and the loner trait because in the beginning she's not friends with the other 2 girls. Like the other 2 girls already know each other, and Rikki is like this, you know, she's just kind of angry and rebellious and distant and all these different things. She always wears black and red, which is how you know that she's like a badass, even though she has this like beautiful little angel face. And like you get the background later of like she lives with her dad and they live in a trailer park and like they don't get along and all these different things that like make it make sense. And I gave her the bartender aspiration. I don't know, like, I mean, her plot line in the later seasons is that she owns, because her rich-ass boyfriend buys her, like, a juice bar, and so she runs that, even though she's in literally high school, but I guess they needed a place to hang out. I don't know. So I gave her the mixologist aspiration because she owns a juice bar later. I don't know. It really is a funny stand-in for, like, a bar. You know how there's always just those places in teenage TV shows where everybody goes to hang out and it's like the party spot and it's just always full of teenagers and everybody can afford to be there for some reason, and that never happened in real life. Like they have like the juice bar in H2O, which is the most Australian thing I've ever heard. Yeah, she always wears braids, which they really did the most to make her look like this like sweet little baby angel from like the neck up, and then try and make her a badass from the neck down, and really all it comes out to is just like she's like a goth that doesn't like doing makeup. Yeah. I think, yeah, she has the worst. They give her, for the entire show, her like romantic storyline is with Zane, who is played by a man who must have been like 30. He looks like he's 30 years old on the show. Like, these girls were not teenagers when they played teenagers, but at least they like kind of looked like maybe they were in high school. Zane was like a full grown out. It was like, you know, when you see those pictures of like a Pekingese walking next to like a Great Dane, that's kind of what it was like. He just looked so old and gross, and he was terrible. And his whole plot line was that he was rich and mean and shitty, and like, I don't even know. And they saddled Rikki with this bullshit the entire time, and I just want to tell her to like go to therapy and like work through the reasons why she might like somebody who's emotionally unavailable and kind of a dick to her, so that she can be happier. You know, I have a lot of thoughts about it. I do have, okay, so I accidentally made one of her outfits really cute and then had to ditch it. So I'll, like oh yeah, she does have bunny teeth. I love giving Sims the bunny teeth. God bless Island Living for this one specific hair, because it is exactly the hair that she wore to every formal event in the entire show. Amazing. Okay. So for the school dance, because she's just like a badass chick, she wears, giant pants, like giant black pants and a black polo shirt, and I had to put her in that for the formal outfit, when really by accident I made a super cute outfit with that little like crop tank top. You know what I'm talking about? You don't know what I'm talking about because you're not a crazy person who makes Sims constantly. But I accidentally made her outfit super cute and I had to undo it, but I look forward to using that outfit on a different Sim. Anyway, yeah, mermaid scales, whatever. I used, like I said, kind of minimal custom content on them, but I will still make the Tumblr post, like I did for Sabrina. I will make a Tumblr post that has photos of them all and links to each of the pieces of CC that I used and who I used it on. Because I'm a good YouTuber, god damn it. Yeah, you know she's badass because she wears the sunglasses. Putting them in their mermaid makeup was really fun, actually. Because whenever they go underwater, they, like, suddenly have, like, a lot of bronzer and lip gloss, and, like, their hair is perfect, and it's really hysterical. Like, I think it must have been fun to have been one of the actors, because you just film a lot of underwater shots where you're, like, looking dramatic, like doing a Derek Zoolander, like, Blue Steel kind of thing, into the camera, because you're looking at, like, a sea turtle that's caught in a net, and obviously they don't have the budget to actually, like, animate a sea turtle being caught in a net, so they just have to do these, like, very vague, like, bubbles are coming up from the bottom, so you can't quite see what's happening, and the mermaid's, like, flailing with a net, and it just, yeah, I love television. Wow. Yeah, okay. This is the custom content bit. Obviously, it's not very interesting, but I wanted to leave it in so that you could kind of see the progression of how I custom contented them. Still used the 3D eyelashes from Kijiko because everybody uses those eyelashes, and I gave her eye bags because that's part of, like, the Phoebe Tonkin or Tonklin look, is, like, the giant dramatic eye bags. Unfortunately, my custom content eyes changed her eye color from, like, hazel to just green, which is annoying, but she does have hazel eyes. You'll see how long I spent clicking through the lip glosses and then deciding to go back to what she had originally. So kill me. Like, why am I like this? I think I'm going to try as much as possible. I'm going to try to just make Sims without custom content because I end up doing this bullshit for forever and it's annoying and nobody likes it. As soon as Island Living came out, I saw posts about mermaid tail recolors, and so I saved some of those. I mostly went for, like, color accuracy over material accuracy with the custom content tails and tops. But yeah, I am having a lot of fun with Island Living so far. I just recorded making Halle Bailey as Ariel from, like, because they're making the new Little Mermaid, and they cast Halle Bailey as Ariel, and every racist on the entire planet that has a social media account was like, but she's not a white redhead, and I'm like, Denmark, you don't give a fuck that the Little Mermaid was set in Denmark. Shut up. I'll get into that more in that video, but look how pretty Emma is. So this hair that I choose for her and, like, spend time going through, I actually went back and changed it to a different one because it was ugly. So the screenshots at the end have a different hair. I'm sorry about that. But sometimes you accidentally download real ugly custom content, you know? It happens. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you appreciate you. And I will see you all next time.